Welcome back everyone, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Joanna, and on this channel you find content about lifestyle, minimalism and mindfulness. In this video I really want to talk about how to deal with criticism, things that I learned from my architecture studies, and also how it helps in day-to-day life. So criticism is something that's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, and yeah, we cannot really escape from it because everyone is being judged and criticized the whole time. But is there a way to deal with criticism and get something out of it and not just feel bad about this? When you're studying architecture, criticism is literally engraved into the studies program. We have table crits, interim crits, the final crits, everything is around criticism. But also in other professions and wherever you are, in school or at work or just in relationships, there's always some kind of criticism. If it's about work, what you've done, about how you look like, what you're wearing, like there are so many different kinds of criticism. It doesn't really matter which situation you are criticized in. It's not always easy to handle the criticism or the feedback and not take it personally. But in this video I really want to show you how I deal with this, or how, like, what methods exist to deal with the criticism we get from other people. What I learned in the 2.5 years of studying architecture is that there are two different kinds of criticism. There is the beneficial one that really means to help you develop further, to change your behavior into a better one. But there's also a harmful criticism that exists that only means to pick on you, to make you feel bad. It really depends on how someone says it. For example, you need to rethink the structure of your presentation so it's more clear, versus you didn't prepare your presentation good enough. Or in another situation, the idea of this project is interesting, but you still need to dive deeper and accentuate what your main goal is. Versus, you've done too little until now and you still don't know what the essence of the project is. I just took like 2 examples, and the first one is always a constructive feedback. It is also kind of criticism. That's why in architecture school we call it the final crits and the final critics. It's like there are the critics and they tell you what you have done well and what not, but the main goal of this is also that you learn from it. So this constructive feedback really wants to improve the skills, improve the behavior that we have, and encourage to develop. This is not something that everyone can do. Like, there are also critics that use the second part, which is not constructive. It's more like picking on someone. It doesn't really feel to be encouraging, but it only expresses criticism. Even both these sentences could be seen as criticism. This is not the same thing, and this is really something that is perceived differently by the person that is criticized. The constructive feedback we saw in 2 examples doesn't have to do something with the person. Like, most of the time the critic doesn't want to criticize the person as it is, because this is not something that has to do with the person itself, but with the work she has done or with the behavior that is doing. But this is not something that, should be taken personally. But still, it's sometimes really difficult to not think that everyone thinks you are not good enough. In the second sentence of the 2 examples, it's somewhat more difficult to do not get it personally, because it's just criticizing without giving a proposition of improvement. It's just difficult to get a lesson out of it and not to get it personally. So these are really the 2 kinds of criticism that I encountered while studying, but also some things that you see in everyday life. So what are the possibilities how to deal with that throughout studies, at work, or in day-to-day life? There are several things that you can do, and I think in this time that I was studying, I really found this way how not to, to get these opinions get the better of me, and to just slack down or just be really sad about something, because this is not something that really helps in developing my skills and developing myself, when I just think that the criticism that has been given to me is, like, trying to harm me. And sometimes I do agree. If someone really tries to bully you, like, on purpose, then the best thing to do is actually just don't lose your temper and stay calm, because most of the times when someone is criticizing someone, is because they have a problem with themselves and they are putting this into the other person. So reminding yourself to be calm and to not lose your temper is exactly the thing that they don't want to see, and yeah, the exact opposite reaction that they expect. So I think this thing is really helpful. Somehow ignore this criticism, because when you feel that someone is really trying to do it on purpose and yeah, just make you feel bad, then it's clear that most of the times it's maybe not really true, or that, but of course if it's something that you really think it's something that you should work on, then you can just respond in a really kind manner, and yeah, this is something that they may not expect, and yeah, the bullying may be over. In a different situation, someone may not know what to say, or they are stressed out about something else. Maybe it's not even you, but they just try to find something to lash out on, and it's just maybe. And this is really something that I also encountered throughout my studies, and this is not something seldom, because people are also stressed out the whole time. And then when you're just like feeling that this is something that has nothing to do with you, actually, maybe it's not the perfect situation you're in, but when you see that the person doesn't really mean that, then probably you shouldn't take it too personally and just should forget about this. It's not something easy, I know that, because I have such situations myself, but it doesn't really help you to sit on this and yeah, try to make sense of it, because most of the times it may not be. And the other situation, the last one, is that many of the criticism that we get really has to do with the work we have done, the project we are on, or the presentation, or the behavior we are. And this is not something that has to do with our personally, or with something that we cannot change most of the time. So it's really important to just listen to what the person has to say and see the truth in that, and maybe there's something that you really should change, because otherwise there wouldn't be criticism, right? And it's also important to remind yourself that it's not meant to offend you, but to help you to go through and to develop yourself or get better at something. It's really important to also know when to take the advice that someone is giving us, because sometimes we don't see things as the others do about us or what we do. So I think this is really also important to just not ignore it in that sense, even if we don't like it sometimes, because it doesn't have to be always good, because criticism can be also good, but in that sense it can be not good, and still it can help us to develop and yeah, to get better at something. Those are really the three different kinds of reaction or dealing with criticism that has also different sources from people, and they have also different goals. So I think in identifying which kind of criticism it is, it's the first really important point, but also knowing how to react to it, and yeah, and how to deal with that in that particular situation is really, really important. And of course, most of the time taking criticism personally is not helping us at all, because we just think that this has something to do with us and we cannot change it. But most of the times you can change so much, and yeah, this is like a really positive thinking that you're turning the criticism in, and it's better for your mind and it's better for yourself as well. These are the things that I really learned throughout my study years, and this is something that I try to apply throughout my studies, but also in my personal life. So you can really see that these are things that can be seen everywhere, and nobody really means you harm in that sense. Mostly. If they don't, then it's really better for yourself to see it in a positive light and not in a negative one, because either way it's only an opinion of someone, and this is something you can take as an advice and also learn from it. But if you choose not to, you don't have to do that. I think it's really important to have your own way of thinking about this, about seeing it in your own light, because otherwise it's really difficult to get around and yeah, to do something, because you are criticized on every step, and we cannot just take everything personally and yeah, fret about everything, because in that way we wouldn't go anywhere if we took everything personally. So I hope this video really helped you a little bit about how to deal with criticism, especially in studies, because it's something that is really common and that everyone encounters. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, it really helps. And if you'd like to see more videos about lifestyle, mindfulness and productivity, subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified when a new video comes out. And I hope I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!